Since starting the company in 2010, Blue Kite has helped more than 70 organizations from across the country strengthen their branding and marketing so they can reach new heights. Laura lives here in Nashville with her husband Garth and her 2 children, James and Claire. Please help me welcome Laura Click. Everybody, it goes forward, right? Uh-oh. Take that back. Take it back. Take it back. All right, you're gonna see it in reverse. I want you to imagine with me for a minute that you work in corporate HR and you are tasked with finding a company to handle training production. So you work with, you have people all over the globe and you have to do global training and you need someone to help out with the Zoom and the Teams and the GoToMeeting and all this training, right? And you have to pick one of these vendors. I want to know, who would you choose? Is the choice clear to you here? No, I'm gonna say no, the choice is not clear, right? Do any of these brands stand out? No. What do you notice about this sea of logos here? What color do you notice in this color scheme here? Blue, lots of blue. What else do you notice about these brands?
Doesn't say what they do.
It doesn't say what they do, okay? And there's even some that have very similar names. We have Training Folks, we have Training Pros, we have some that have almost identical logos. The choice is not clear. We see this, it's pretty obvious to us, right? This is not a clear choice for me as this corporate HR person. I need to hire one of these companies. But as business owners and business leaders, we fall into this trap all the time. It's because we often don't know what we're doing, or we're scared. And so what we do is we look at the competition and we think, hey, it's working for those guys, I'm gonna do the same thing. So we end up making our brands look and feel and sound exactly like everybody else. And that may feel like a good idea, but what happens is that your clients and customers have a hard time knowing who to choose. So if you are a business owner or business leader, you probably care about standing out and getting more clients and customers, right? Do you care about this? Yes? I hope you all do. So you have to be distinctive and memorable. If you want to be the definitive choice in your market, you have to be a brand that stands out. You want to be the blue duck. Right? The blue duck stands out in the sea of yellow. You want to be the blue duck. You have to be willing to be different. So we're going to talk about how you can do that. And the key to it is finding your differentiator. Now, I know when I talk about this sounds really scary, right? You think, I have to be entirely disruptive. I have to do something that's never been done before. Does it feel that way to you a little bit? But I'm here to tell you that finding your differentiator isn't about being wildly different or disruptive. It's about being 10% different. Or 10% better than your competitors. How can you turn the dial just a notch so you stand out, okay? I'm gonna give you 3 places where you can look where your differentiator may be hiding in plain sight. You have a competitive advantage and you might not even know it. So the key is knowing where to look. One of those is, there's 3. So it's your product, your customer service, and your audience. We're gonna start with your product. And it's what you offer. It's the service or the product that you offer to your clients and customers, okay? An example of this is a company we just worked with. They sell stroller wagons. Now, if you're not familiar with this category, it is exactly like it sounds. It's a combination of a huge wagon that's a stroller. You put kids into it, right? And our client, they looked and sounded a lot like all the competitors. They were one of the early entrants in the market. And then they had all this competition coming into the market. And they were trying to figure out, well, how do we stand out when everyone's copying us and they sound a lot like us? And at first glance, it really seemed that way, like, wow, there's not a lot of difference here, but we picked up on one key feature of their product that was wildly different than the rest, and it was a zipper door. So think of like a dog door, you know, like a dog door or kicking up a dog and go out. It's like that, but for kids, okay? So we don't want to call it a dog door, it's a kid door, like a zippered kid door, that the kid can crawl up into the stroller wagon. Now, if you're not a parent, you may not realize how important this is, because parents, any parents in the room, and with small children that you had to lift into things. My 6-year-old is 50 pounds, I found out at the doctor today. Lifting my 50-pound kid into a stroller wagon is quite the job, okay? But if you have a wagon with a zipper door, the kid can get into the wagon all by themselves. Now, not only does that make my job easier as a parent, it makes it a lot more fun for the kid, too. So now, the wagon feels like a whole experience. And it was that feature that helped us pick up on all these little things that they were doing to make the stroller wagon more fun for kids and better for parents. It was all about how they can experience the world together as a family instead of just transporting them from point A to point B. So you might have hidden features within what you offer, your product or your service, that's just a little bit different, and then you can really lean in on that. Another thing you can do is think about your customer service. So how you deliver your product or your service offering. And one of my favorite examples of this is Fleet Feet. Anyone know about Fleet Feet? Any runners in the room? Okay. If you are a runner, you gotta go to Fleet Feet. Yes, I could buy my running shoes from anywhere. But when I go to Fleet Feet, they look at my feet, they watch how I walk and run, and they help me pick shoes that are specifically designed to work for how I walk and run. And if the shoes I buy from them don't work out, they will take them back, even if you run in them. I happened to do this. I bought a pair, and I ran in them for like 3 weeks. And I did an 11-mile run, and I had terrible shin splints, and I got blisters. I'm like, these shoes are not working. And they gladly took them back. Now that is pretty phenomenal customer service, right? You don't have to be that extreme with your customer service. We had a client that we worked with, it was a law firm, that guaranteed that would return every single call within 24 hours. Now, I don't know about you, if you've ever worked with a lawyer or a law firm, that's a pretty big deal. And I can say this because I'm married to a lawyer, I know. And so they really leaned in on the fact that they were responsive. They called their customers back right away. So it was a small thing that made a big difference for how they marketed their business. The third thing is a little bit different to think about, but it's who you attract, who's your target audience. And a great example of this is actually, shout out to our friends from Mamaya Health, Amy Green in the room, is Mamaya Health. They do virtual counseling services for women who are pregnant or postpartum. Okay, so there's a lot of people who offer that, a lot of companies that offer that service, but not many that have a practice that's entirely dedicated to that for this specific population. So one of the ways you can stand out is by just really narrowing in and finding a well-defined audience so you can cater your products or services directly to them. So if I'm pregnant or I recently had a baby and I hear about counseling that's geared exactly for that audience, it's like, wow, this is really built for me. So you can tailor your marketing in a way that companies that offer all the different things, they can't do. So that is another way you can differentiate. So once you have figured out what that is, what your differentiator is, those are just 3 ways you can do it. You really need to amplify that and make sure that's reflected in your brand. So that means your name has to be differentiated, that means your logo, your visual identity has to be differentiated, and then your marketing and your messaging. So everything you do to talk about your business needs to reflect what that key differentiator is. Now, if you remember those brands from the beginning, here's the same list with one different. Which one stands out now? LC, yes. That was our client. We did this work with them, and we leaned in and looked at what makes them special and different. And what we found is that their customer service made them wildly different than all of their competitors. We did a customer survey, and every single customer, they all mentioned how the LC team, they went by Virtual Training Collaborative. You probably didn't remember that from the first slide because it was so boring. And they went by VLC. No one knew what it stood for. And in all of our research with them, we found out that it was their customer service that made them go above and beyond. And so what we did is we created messaging and marketing around that and built a name and a personified little mascot here to represent how they give a human touch to everything they do. You can see just a little bit more of how that looks. So we talked about their messaging being about making virtual learning more human. And we were able to build a brand that reflected that key differentiator. So that is how this works. If you want to be a successful brand, you have to be willing to stand out and you have to lean in that differentiator to do that. If you are trying to figure out what makes your organization unique, I've got a free quiz that can help you. You can scan the QR code to find it, or you can go to flybluekite.com/rise. It's a fun little 7-question quiz. It'll help you figure out what your differentiator could be and then how you can leverage that for your business. What I hope you remember from this is that standing out can feel really scary. It can feel really hard. It takes bravery to be different, but if you're willing to be brave and lean into that differentiator, you can stand out and be the clear choice in your market, and that's what I want for all of you. So I know you can do it. I'm going to be here rooting for you.